Live from the legendary podcast bus in sunny California, it's America's funniest new podcast.
Oh my God, what did you get over?
Pretty happy about it. I'm like, thanks.
Yeah.
Good.
We think it's funny. And now, here are your hosts, Mark Schiff and Daniel Nobel.
Hello there, welcome to We Think It's Funny. Mark Sheffield, my co-host Daniel Bell.
How are you?
Good to see you, Danny. And
Good
you know
to see
who we
you,
have today?
I do.
Maz Jobrani.
Oh, it's Maz Jobrani, but
Maz.
that's fine. I actually, before we started, you said you asked my last name, Jobrani.
Take it over.
No, keep it going. I intentionally did not tell you the pronunciation of my first name because I want to see how you do it. And you did Maz, but it's Maz. But that's not the point. The point is when I got married in Mexico, we had a Mexican priest. And he came over to myself and my wife is Indian, and her name is Preetha. And so he comes over, and just like we just did right now, he asked the last name, and I said it's Jobrani. Okay, Jobrani, I got it. And then her name Mani. He got the last names, and I'm Maz, and she's Preetha. And then he starts, and then he goes, he starts at Dearly Beloved. We're here this and then he goes, we're here today to bring together Max and Rita. And I was like, no, it's not Max, it's Maz.
So do you remember I called you, but I was calling Maz?
Yeah. Yes.
Maz Siam, but I
Yes.
didn't mean to call
Yes.
you with this one.
Yeah.
And I invited you to lunch because I thought I was inviting Maz to lunch.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Mark wants to go to lunch. That's interesting. And then I was like, Mark, like when? What are you talking about? And you go, Maz. So Maz, I think is Arab, right? He's from.
He's a Palestinian Muslim.
Palestinian Muslim. So the Arabs have Mazen, which is that's the name, and then Iranians we have Maz or Maziar. We have Maziar. So I've run into a lot of Arabs that are Maz, and I'm Maz.
His name is Abu Mustafa.
Abu Mustafa.
But Maz must be short for something too,
Maziar.
right?
Maziar. Yeah, some historical figure in the Persian history. He was actually a warrior in Persian. Like I don't know if it's history or like folklore. But I was saying it's ironic that I became a comedian. I'm not really a warrior.
Mm-hmm. Well, your family left Iran in the revolution, right?
Late 1978. I was just telling Mark I'm reading a book called The King of Kings, which is a really interesting book that goes back and talks about the decisions that were made leading up to that revolution. I don't think that's my phone, but if it is, can you? I thought I turned the ringer off. Sorry, let's turn that ringer off. Was it off? It wasn't off?
It is now.
All right.
I never turn my ring. You know why I turned it on? Because I was waiting for you to call.
Right. And the only reason I didn't hear your call is because mine is off during the show.
That's what it is.
And let me apologize again for making you wait an extra.
No problem.
10
I just wasn't sure if I was in the right place, but
I'm
we made
still
it
not
happen.
sure. I mean,
well, no, who knows? So we left late 78, and it's interesting. Like when you go back, like a lot of things in history, that's the beauty of history is going back and looking. That's why these like World War II documentaries are interesting. Because you go, oh, this guy did this, and then he could have done this, but he did that. I was just listening today on NPR. They were doing a whole thing. There's a book out about January 6th and how when Merrick Garland went into became the Attorney General, how he really was going above and beyond to not seem political at all, and how because of that, the Department of Justice fell behind on the investigation of January 6th, and it wasn't until that the January 6th committee in the House got their own investigators, and they were just miles and miles ahead of the Department of Justice, which you think is like supposed to be the people running it. So it's always interesting to see the decisions that were made. Merrick Garland's decision to go slowly and not seem political at all made it so that that we never even got a chance to see the trial to see if anything happened or not.
Right. Well, they're still talking about it.
So I mean, it's gonna historically. I just brought that up because I heard it today. But anything historical, I just think is interesting. So going back to what I was saying about Iran, looking at the like 19 so in the New Year's Eve going into 1978, Jimmy Carter was on a trip overseas and he did a pit stop in Iran. This is like New Year's Eve going into 78, and he made this toast. And he goes, Iran is an island of stability in a region of whatever chaos or whatever he called it. And flash forward, 6, 7, 8 months later, and we have our revolution happening. So they really didn't see it coming.
Do you think Iran will ever revert back?
You know, that's a good question. It's really hard. I was just telling Mark outside. It's interesting because this the current regime, the Islamic Republic, they have basically, you know, they have the political power. They have obviously the military, and then they have an internal military, which is the Basiji, and that's kind of like the whole thing of the Basiji was from the beginning. They said you guys are the guardians of the revolution. So anytime there's these mass protests, like a couple years ago, we had a protest based on the girl Masa Amini, who had her hair out a little bit, and some religious police decided to stop her.
Is that when Obama was president?
This was in 2022, I think 2022. Yeah, 2022. Biden was president at the time. These mass protests started, and it started worldwide.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of attention, and you would think, oh my God, this is going to be.
What happened to her?
This was this girl, this Kurdish Iranian girl who was in Tehran, walking in the streets, and the religious police showed up, and they stopped her, and they said, your hair is, showing or whatever. And then they took her, and then in the process, I believe they beat her, and then they beat her to death, basically. And I don't know if they beat her to death or they hit her and she hit her head. I'm not quite sure what the details of it are, but I do know that, this poor girl died because her hair was out a little bit. Now, 2-3 years later, I'm hearing people say that a lot of women in Iran are just they've taken the hijab off, and they're walking the streets without anything covering their hair. So it led to mass protests, and exactly what I was saying is, you would think at that point, that regime would fall and some sort of new leadership would come out, but they held on to their power. Part of it is because they have so much control of the country
And the army.
and this Basij, which is
It's like a secret police.
It's like a secret police, or it's like the Gestapo. They had it's like, oh, we're watching you. So that creates it. So it's hard to create an opposition inside Iran. And someone else, and I heard an analyst say something that was very interesting. He said, the Shah, under the Shah, there was a lot of Western influence. So a lot of the people in the Shah's leadership were, people whose kids were studying abroad, or they would go to the West. They would go to France or England or the U.S. or whatever. There was actually like a ton of Iranian students in America under the Shah. Like that was a big exchange thing. But he said that under this current regime, a lot of those same people don't have as much ties to the West or anywhere else to flee.
Right.
And he said because of that, they hold on to their power even more. So again, I don't know. I don't know if it'll ever change. I don't know if it'll ever, get more,
You glad they bombed the nukes?
No, I'll be honest with you. The analysis I've heard or I've read has said that we really didn't do much to damage their nukes, because the fact is they knew it's coming, and so they moved whatever they had to move, and that might have thrown them back 3 months or something. In all honesty, as much as I oppose the regime, and I would hope for a free and democratic Iran.
You do like the nukes?
I like the nukes. No, I feel that our best hope was really the nuclear deal that Obama had made with them, which was to say, we are going to have inspectors come in and inspect your facilities. And the idea there, from what I gather, is that you allow so you slowly start lifting the sanctions, right? And you allow Iran, the country of Iran, to come into the economic fold of the international community. And the hope is then that if they violate some of their agreements regarding the nuclear program, then you can reinstate the sanctions, or you can up the sanctions again. But the hope is that time when you lift the sanctions and they're allowing us to go in and actually observe their nuclear facilities, the hope is by that point you have companies like Apple and Starbucks and whatever American companies going into Iran, creating a better economy for Iran, so that Iran realizes if they violate these nuclear agreements, those companies are pulling out, and you're going to go back to an economy that's suffering.
See, my understanding was that they did not let people inspect, even under the Obama thing.
No, so that's not right. They actually were starting to. This is the debate, because Iranians. There's a lot of Iranians that are divided on it. A lot of Iranians want someone to go in and like just get rid of the regime somehow. Now I ask how. And they go, well, bomb them. And I go, well, you can't just, there's no like mullah-seeking missiles, like heat-seeking missiles. You know, you can't just bomb the regime. You're going to kill innocent Iranians. And Tehran, for example, is a city of like 10 million people. Yeah. So what had happened was we had tried, again, in 2015 was when the nuclear program passed. So we had tried 30, 40 years of animosity towards Iran. We're the great Satan. They're terrorists, whatever it is. And when this nuclear deal came about, it was the first time where we started to kind of loosen the sanctions. By the way, who suffers on the sanctions? The people suffer, because
Always.
The regime is corrupt anyway, so they're just going to find other ways to move their money around. But that allowed us to have a little bit of a better communication with Iran. And I was actually at some conference where they had John Kerry speaking, and John Kerry was one of the big architects of the Iran nuclear deal, and he gave an example of why it was good to have made that nuclear deal. He said, because I don't know if you guys remember, right around that time, 2015, 2016, there was an American boat of sailors that had kind of floated into the Persian, like the Iranian waters, and the Iranian Navy had captured those sailors. And John Kerry said, because we now have this diplomatic way of communications, direct communications with Iran. When that happened, I was able to call my counterpart there and go, hey, these guys came there mistakenly, let them go. And within 24 hours or so, they were released. He goes, if I didn't have that this relationship with them now, I would have had to go to the Swiss ambassador, who's how they were doing it with. He would have to go to Iran, to the Iranian ambassador. They go back and forth. It would have taken longer. Who knows if it would have escalated.
They made those guys make tapes, though. Do you remember that?
I do remember they were in front of some sort of like...
And they made them say things that they, weren't supposed to say. Whatever. It's it's a tough thing, because you have a country like Iran, and they yell death to America, big marches, right? Death to Israel. And they say they would use it. They say they would, use the bomb if they get it. And you got to believe people. When people say they're going to do something.
Listen, here's the thing. First of all, I used to do a joke about this whole death to America thing, which is, I was saying how we're very egocentric in America. We feel that everyone's thinking about us. We feel like there's a guy in the caves of Afghanistan waking up in the morning and going, death to America. Like, that's the first thing he says. I was like, no, he's got a wife and kids, and he's got to drop them off. And he's like, oh, and then at the end of the day, he's like, did I do death to America? Oh, I forgot to do death to America. So with that in mind, there are obviously factions of people in Iran who, see America as the enemy. I would say majority of Iranians are not that.
I totally agree with you.
Majority of Iranians are young people who just want their freedom. As a matter of fact, they want more, especially nowadays with like access to social media, all that. They want more of that stuff. So that's that. Now, the idea of, listen, the Iranian leadership cannot be trusted. They actually say they don't want a nuclear weapon because it's not within the Islamic way. They go, we just want the nuclear energy. This whole program started when under the Shah, actually, because he had actually started to want nuclear energy. But I think the question becomes, if we agree that we don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, the question becomes, how do you stop that? Do you drop these huge bombs on their underground facility where, first of all, they know it's coming, they've moved their stuff out. So do you somehow try to, bomb it away?
Well, one way they did is they killed all the scientists.
Again, that helps a little bit.
But there's
again,
always going to be new nerds.
It's like killing the cook in a restaurant. You're not going to get... dinner.
But that's the problem. Is like that again. That goes back to. I'll give you a great example. We killed General Soleimani, who was in charge of creating a lot of the Iranian.
Trump's the one that took out Soleimani.
Yeah, Trump in 2020. I think it was 2020. Right. Soleimani was one of the guys who was coordinating a lot of stuff between Hezbollah and he was somebody who was causing a lot of trouble for the West in many ways by having all these different people doing things to disrupt the American or the Israeli, whatever it was. He was definitely had a target on his back, and Trump took him out. And some Iranians who are all about let's bomb them were like, oh, this is good, but to the point of like, oh, they killed some nuclear scientists. Well, they put another guy in place of Soleimani, and he was the next guy. And then more recently, they killed another guy got killed. Another guy will come. So that's the
there's no end to it.
So what you just said, like you can kill these nuclear scientists, but they have other nuclear scientists. So the question becomes, what is the best way for us to stop a country like that from having a nuclear weapon?
So, by the way, I know a lot of people from Iran, Jewish people.
Yeah.
And they hate the regime more than anything.
Yeah.
And they're very happy that the bombs were dropped.
Well, that's the thing. So
they don't come from your angle like,
well, there's
maybe
also,
it wasn't a good idea.
My own mother. I mean, there's a lot of Iranians who hate this regime so much that they go, you know what? Let's just bomb them. They were like, I'm happy Israel and Iran and the U.S. are bombing Iran. And then I would bring up to them, because my mom because nowadays with social media you get different presentations from different sides. So when this bombing was happening, when Iran and Israel started exchanging missiles, the next thing my mom said was, she goes, why aren't the people going out in the streets and protesting? Now is the time to do it. Now is the time to take the country back. And I said, Mom, that's because there's bombs dropping on Tehran. You want some young people to go in the streets and protest so that you can go back to Tehran after all these years and see your country. They're not going to go in the streets. What they're doing, I have relatives in Iran, some of them that were getting in cars and getting out of town.
Right.
So that's the problem with this strategy of what you just said. I know a lot of Persian Jews as well. I know a lot of Persian non-Jews or conservative who feel like, let's just bomb them and let's get rid of them. But I say, listen, I'm against the regime. I don't want to be. I don't want these people to lead. I agree with you on hopefully a democratic and a free Iran at some point. But I don't think that bombing them is going to do the job. It's just not. I mean, because the fact is, again, this regime is very, very embedded. They have a big core support.
Sure.
It would be like talking about, like, okay, if you were to talk about America now, I don't know how many evangelicals there are, but I'm sure that a big supporter base of Trump is like the hardcore Christians that are like evangelicals.
Absolutely.
So as long as you got those guys and they have the power, it's like, how do you get rid of them? Because again, a lot of people in Iran want more freedoms. Women want more freedoms.
Do you think the Ayatollah has ever seen your stand-up?
That's a great question.
Have you been to Iran?
I went to Iran early on in my career. Like I just started, so I wasn't known. I was like maybe a year or two in. My father had moved back to Iran, so I left Iran when I was 6 years old. My father came to America, and then he lost a lot of money from bad investments. So he went back to Iran to try and get, free up some of his properties. So he was living in Iran, and I think New Year's going into 1999, I went to Iran for 2 weeks. Saw my relatives. It was amazing. I smelled smells I hadn't smelled in like 20 years. I tasted food. Sabzi, all of it. It's great.
That's good. That's Sabzi.
And it was beautiful. The people were great. Iranian people are some of the most hospitable people in the world. What was sad was, besides the regime, was the fact that I think the other thing is that they're very incompetent. So Tehran was over-polluted, overpopulated. There wasn't a lot of opportunities. Every young person I'd run into would be like, please help me come to America. And I'm like, this poor guy doesn't even speak English. Like, what's he going to do? And so that was, but back then, again, I wasn't known.
Right.
Now, years later, I've spoken against, said things against the regime, whether it's on social media or during those protests or any of that stuff. So I wouldn't even go back. And by the way, I think the way they function is, if you are known in the community, whether you're an intellectual or an artist or something, a lot of times you're risking being taken and having them accuse you of being a spy.
We just had that conversation. My son's going to China.
Yeah.
And he wanted me to go with him, and I don't want to go because I don't want to be taken.
Yeah.
So it was, your wife and me,
my wife and you.
are you guys on the same page politically?
Yes, we're very similar
That helps,
politically.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it does help. It definitely does. and the fact is, especially nowadays, people are so divided. It's been heartbreaking for me to see some friends of mine like just become so passionate in another direction. And there's been many times where I've said, "Hey, I'm open to conversation." And if we
Me
can,
towards Trump.
towards Trump or whatever it is, and it's like listen, man. I've tried. The example I would use is this: like there was some of my more conservative friends who became Trump supporters. If they came to me and they were saying, "Hey, under Obama there was more drones dropped on innocent people than under any previous president," I'd go, "Yeah, you're right. I mean, if that's the fact, then that's the fact. I can't argue that fact with you.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that I'm agreeing with you. So he's not perfect." What I've found on the other side is if I bring things up, especially if somebody's like really gone, because you have people who are willing to have a conversation, but some people go so far that when you go, "Oh, well, but Trump on January 6th was sitting watching television while these people were yelling, 'Kill Mike Pence.' Well, that's because Nancy Pelosi didn't approve the National Guards." Nancy Pelosi couldn't approve the National Guard. Trump could have made the call, so you get into this thing, and it becomes it's almost like you're talking about their grandmother.
I didn't want to interrupt this conversation because it's serious, and I'm not.
This is a comedy.
I just wanted. But I have been sitting on this question for a while, and it's going to sound very stupid now, but going back to the stews, because
How do you pronounce your name? No, go ahead.
the stews, the Iranian stews. You have first of all, why do you think it is that there's such a stew culture in Iran?
So the Persian food, our base is rice, and the same way, like for Italians, it's pasta, and for Indians, rice, and us, rice. I think that part of the world, big rice base, and throughout our history, you obviously have to have something with the rice.
Right.
And I think that we've created these stews that are really, and I'm trying to be objective about it, but I really think it's some of the best food in the world because it's like
very,
Indian,
very good stews.
Yeah, it's like Indian food, but it's not spicy. And so it's got spices, but it's not spicy.
Yeah.
And so, and we have all these like orme sabzi and fesenjun.
Fesenjun is my favorite. It's the best.
Something.
Yeah, ever have fesenjun?
No.
Oh,
It's the worst looking food in the world, but it tastes delicious. Yeah.
Can you have it in July?
Hey, fesenjun in July.
Yeah, it's got pomegranate syrup in it.
Yeah.
Chicken, you wouldn't eat the chicken, but you could get it vegan probably.
Yeah.
And
walnuts.
Walnuts and
it's like a sweet and yet got a little bit of sourness to it. It's
sweet and sour.
Yeah.
That's actually sweet and so we were talking earlier about sweet and sour soup. That's an actual sweet and sour stew. It is sweet and it is sour.
Yeah.
Unlike sweet and sour soup, which is just sour.
Yeah.
You ever hear Tabby Raphael?
No, I don't know Tabby.
She's an Iranian.
Very talented.
She came from Iran with her family.
She's a comedian?
A writer.
She's a writer.
Oh, okay.
And she writes a lot. And she just wrote a story about, she has little kids, and they're always bored.
Yeah.
I'm bored. Everything they're being with kids, I'm bored.
Yeah.
She said when she was growing up in Iran, and she told her mother she was bored, her mother would just give her another chore to do. There were no toys, no nothing.
Yeah.
And her mother would give her and her sister walnuts with a hammer. And they would have to crack walnuts for an hour and a half if they got bored.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that with my kids. Well, the problem is there's no more.
Your kids, by the way, politically, you're a 17-year-old. Do you know anything about him?
17-year-old's great kid. I just know they're good people. My kids, I always like.
Do they agree with your politics?
I think so, but they've also challenged me before and been like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And I have a conversation with them. I'm open to that.
Did you threaten to throw them out?
I threaten them throw out. No, I feel like when I see my kids and I see some of their friends, I go, okay, I have hope for the future because they're educated, good people, like just good people. And it's funny because as parents, sometimes you are so much in the world of disciplining and being upset about, oh, your room's a mess or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's been times where my wife's been upset at them and we're at a restaurant and this is when they were a little bit younger, by the way. And my wife's like, do this, do that. And she's kind of in an upset mood with them. And we've had like the waiter come by or the waitress and go, "Can I just say something? Your kids are the best behaved kids I've ever seen." And I go, you know what? When the people from the outside are telling us, then these kids are at least doing something right. So they're good kids. They're good kids, and but what I was getting at is there's no more boredom anymore. Like there used to be. I mean, not my favorite, but I remember. I vividly remember. I grew up in Northern California. Summertime. You've seen every movie that's out.
Yeah.
You're like 12 years old with your buddies. You got your bikes. It's hot, and you just sit around going, "What should we do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Let's go play stickball. Play stickball. Come back. What do you want to do? What do you want to do?" And it was just like make the day go.
Yeah.
But it was great.
Always had things to do. I would get on my bike 7, 8 in the morning on the weekends, and then my mother would say, "I'll be back for dinner."
In the Bronx?
And you're gone for the day.
You go around in a bike?
I was too young in the Bronx, in Forest Hills. When I grew up in Forest Hills, we would just go for the day.
Okay.
I'd go knock on my friend's door at 7 a.m., get on our bikes, and just take off. And I don't even know where we went. George Shapiro, remember George Shapiro?
Yeah.
So he grew up in the Bronx, the manager, and him and his friends, after school, they would play basketball. They would go to the court, and they always tried to figure, what do girls do in the afternoon?
That's funny.
They never came up with where did they go? What did they do? You just didn't see
Basket weaving.
So suppose your boy came home wearing a Make America Great hat again. And he was totally...
The door would not be open.
Would that be the thing that pushed you over? What would...
Listen, I have like
that
relatives.
could be a modern day curse. May your child come home with a hat?
mega hat. No, in all honesty, like I have one of my best friends is a conservative. We don't talk too much politics. He'll ask questions.
I thought you were going to say we don't talk too much.
We don't talk too much. No, he'll ask questions where he's got like, for example, when the Jimmy Kimmel thing happened, right?
Yeah.
Again, this shows me where people are getting their news. So when the Jimmy Kimmel thing happened, I was with him and he's like, "Let me ask you this." He goes, "So, you're upset about Jimmy Kimmel being fired for what he said?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, at the same time," he goes, "when Tucker Carlson got fired, Jimmy Kimmel was making fun of him." And I said, "All right." I said, "The difference is," so he's obviously getting that news from somewhere on the right that's telling him, "Well, screw Jimmy Kimmel. He made fun of Tucker Carlson." And I said, "Well, the difference is in the Jimmy Kimmel case, the head of the Federal Communications Commission was on a podcast and basically said, we can do this the easy way or the hard way." I said, they basically put their thumb on the scale of private enterprise, because I was always of the mind of, like this happened when during January 6th, when Trump was blocked from Twitter, as well as some other people got blocked from Twitter. I was reminding people, I said, these are private companies. They can do whatever they want to do, right? Similarly, ABC is a private company. They do whatever it wants to do. But when the FCC chairman comes in and gives that little nod and wink, now we have a problem. And so that same friend of mine, we didn't get into like, this guy's good, that guy's bad. We just got into this discussion about, and I explained to him, I said, the difference is that, I said, it's fair game to make fun of anybody for whatever, but that's the whole point of America, is that we can do that.
Yeah.
Whether it's Jimmy Kimmel making fun of Tucker or Tucker making fun of Jimmy Kimmel, I could care less. But I told him, I said, the difference is that. So I have close friends that are of that mind, and if they want to have like a good, healthy discussion, I'm good with it.
What, the MAGA mind, you mean?
He's not even MAGA. He's just very. I think he's just getting. What you were saying earlier. I think we're getting our news from different places.
That's true.
And it's just, and we're coming at it.
I have a friend, and all he does is listen to MSNBC. That is it.
Yeah.
That's all he listens to.
Yeah.
And it's hard to have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
Because there's no other side.
Well, that's, again, listen, I watch MSNBC, but I also...
We'll get off politics, but what about the one that's happening today, Mamdani?
Mamdani. I like Mamdani. I like him because I know that... of course. What'd you expect? I like him.
No, I didn't know. I really didn't know.
No, I do. I like him because, first of all, I have a lot of Jewish friends who are like, oh my God, he's going to come after the Jews. I'm like, I don't think so. There's a lot of Jews that are supporting him. I don't think that he's going to come after the Jews.
But that's a luxury position to be in, to be like, I don't think so. But if you're Jewish,
no, but they're not. But that's the point. Listen.
How about what he said?
Listen. No. Hold on. We live in America. This is. Let me give you an example. Sometimes people will use Islam as a. I'm not religious, by the way. I'm from Iran. I should be Muslim. I'm not religious. And if anything, I just say.
What do you mean should be? You are, but you don't follow.
I was born Muslim. Let's say,
so do you, like in Jews? I'm born Jewish.
Yeah.
And even if I don't keep any of the commandments, I'm still a Jew.
Yeah, when I started saying I'm Muslim-ish, and the reason was actually because I started seeing, like, when we did our tour, the Axis of Evil comedy tour, which was back in 2007 or so.
By the way, that's when I first met you, because you came on my original podcast.
There you go. Yeah. So back then, I remember doing a couple shows, and because we were the first group of like Middle Eastern and Muslim comedians coming to the fore, Mitzi Shore put it together and was like, there's gonna be a need for positive voice for Middle Easterns and Muslims. So at the time I was like, oh, I'm a Muslim, but I don't fast during Ramadan. I don't pray 5 times during I don't pray at all.
How many days? None.
No, I don't pray. I mean, I actually, then the joke I say, the only time I pray is if I'm almost in a car accident. And at that point I go, oh, Jesus. I go, it's the wrong God. I'm calling the wrong God. But anyway, so we were doing some show, and because I think we attracted, secular people that were Middle Eastern and other.
Sure.
And we also attracted religious people. And some might have been a little more conservative. And I remember at some point maybe I did a joke about drinking or something, and somebody like put a comment in the social media like, you're not supposed to drink. And I was like, who the hell are you? Like, what are you talking about? And that's when I realized, I go, you know what? I don't want to try to represent for Muslims, because I'm not. So then I did a whole bit on my Netflix special where I said I'm Muslim-ish, and I talk about that whole thing.
I did a show with you, I think, Crossing the Gap.
Possibly.
It was Muslim comedians, Jewish comedians. It was for Showtime.
No, I don't think I shot anything for Showtime for that. Was it Ahmed maybe?
Yeah. No, you were there
was
too.
It Dean?
Because Maz Siam was with me, and you were there.
And
you
aired
guys
on Showtime?
I think it was Showtime.
I'm Oda residual. I don't recall this.
Crossing the Gap.
You know what sucks, Mark, is as I get older, I run into situations like that more and more, where people will be like, yeah, you were on such and such TV show. And I'm like, I was?
When you do a lot of them, it's hard to remember everything.
Did you reject Islam as a philosophy, or were you not raised with it?
No. I listen, here's what happens. So Iran, as you know, Islamic Republic of Iran. A lot of Iranians got a bad taste of Islam from the fact that it was politicized to take over the country, right? Mm-hmm. And the original religion of Iran was Zoroastrianism, and their tenets are good thoughts, good words, good deeds. I looked
simple. Them up after I heard you talk about it to see if they came before the Jews.
Yeah. First monotheistic.
Nobody knows exactly.
It's like 3,000 years or whatever. Yeah, whatever it is. Like they're all so similar. And so I've never said I reject Islam. I just said I'm not Muslim, and that's because I don't want to misrepresent. I don't want to be sitting there with like a vodka in my hand and have some Muslim.
But what I'm saying
it's all so that I'm able to drink. That's
what I'm asking you is, like, have you ever sat down with the Quran and the Hadiths and went through it?
No, listen, the closest I've come to that or to the Bible was like in college. I took some classes like religion and politics. So they were like, oh, read some of the Quran, read some of the Bible. I mean, I've read some of that stuff. And a lot of it, like we all know, like a lot of them there's similarities between all of them, and all of them say good things and all of them say bad things, and and the problem becomes, this is where religion becomes a problem, is that whether you want to use it as a tool to manipulate people or you want to use it as a tool to scare people, you can take a quote from this book or that book and say, oh, this guy said kill everybody. Mm-hmm. You're like, well, no, this guy actually said don't kill everybody. Like it's so I don't delve into that because these are books that were written thousands of years ago. Right. What I do delve into is the current of world that we're in. And so going back quickly to Mamdani and all that, like I just remember, I think it was in Florida or something. Some congressman or somebody was like talking about, who was it? It wasn't Jim Jordan. It was Jim Jordan's from Ohio. Someone was talking about how like, you know who it was? It was Mike Flynn. Mike Flynn, the nut job, who was he's become like this crazy religious guy. And he
went to jail for a while.
I don't know if he went to jail.
He lost all his money. I mean,
he might have, but he was the guy. He was the guy who was a general.
Yeah, General Flynn.
And early on in the Trump administration got in trouble. There was some clip I saw of him talking about like they're trying to bring Sharia law to Florida and we're not going to let it happen. And I'm going, okay, hold on a second. I go, just the in the minimal, the multi tiny teeny percentage that anyone could bring Sharia law to, let's say, Florida. Okay. First of all, America is a majority Christian country, right?
Yep.
Right. Secondly, the power is held in a majority of Christians, just generally speaking.
Yeah.
The military, the FBI, all of that stuff. Now, if you're telling me that there's some, mosque in some street corner of Florida, and there's this imam who's a nut job who's like Sharia law, which, by the way, I don't know the details of Sharia law. I don't know if like
I had a joke about Sharia law. It sounds like a black TV show, like with a woman. She's
funny,
like,
yeah.
when you're in Sharia's house, it's Sharia law.
That's funny. But my point is, for him to fearmonger that somehow.
I don't know what it means, though. I don't know what Sharia means.
Sharia, the way they try to make it sound is like, because like ISIS and Al Qaeda and all these guys wanted Sharia law, which means like we want to go back to the old days where, like, I don't know, you could be beheaded for saying something.
But what is Sharia?
I again, look it up. I don't know.
Okay, all right,
yeah. I don't know if that's. I don't know. Like, I think that part of it is like for example, the word jihad. Jihad has been taken as like this guy wants to kill somebody, but jihad is supposed to be actually like a struggle, an internal struggle of like. You're struggling to become better, but it's been manipulated for go kill the infidel. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying all of that to go back to this Mamdani thing, where I want to just say the odds of Mamdani somehow going after Jews in New York, and this is all some ploy that he's come up with to become the mayor and to be able to implement what I don't even know what he would do to Jews. Like, to me, that's just crazy.
I don't think so.
I'll give you a little counterpoint on that.
Yeah.
Just because right now, New York, with what's going on in the Middle East, there's lots of big protests.
Right.
And there have been lots of attacks on Jewish people in New York.
Right.
So if the head, of the city, the mayor, is not enforcing law enforcement to stop that, that's where he doesn't necessarily have to do anything.
Okay.
He could just not do anything.
Yeah. So first of all, let's play this out. So you're telling me some mayor of some city, which, by the way, we've seen now more and more that these mayors, I thought mayors had power, but apparently not, because ICE is showing up and like tackling them and cuffing them. And you're telling me that somehow this mayor of the biggest city in America is going to be able to tell his cops, give a nod and a wink and be like, hey, cops, don't worry about the Jews. Let them get beaten by some crazy guy who wants to beat them. I am telling you, the odds of that happening, I'm willing to bet with you right now, $1 million that is not something that would happen.
You're doing very well, evidently.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Very well.
No, because
Can your
listen,
wife hear this podcast when you say things like
guys,
that?
It goes to fear mongering. It really does. What I like about him is the idea. Listen, some of his ideas are idealistic, and it's going to be hard to make happen. I'm reminded of. I always say, if you wanted an idealistic leader, what's his name? Oh my God, who was the environmentalist?
Greta?
No, not Greta. Back in the day, he would drive a little like a Yugo or something.
Ralph Nader.
Ralph Nader. If we wanted an idealist to lead, Ralph Nader would have been the guy, and we would have an environment that would be clean right now, and everyone would be, hunky dory. That's not. It's hard to be an idealist and have those things, play. So when he says like, free buses and free groceries and all this other stuff, hey, it would be great if the people that can't afford it were somehow helped by the billionaires who are able to, prosper in this system that we've set up. It would be great. Like the idea of like billionaires should pay their fair share of taxes. Even Warren Buffett said it. I should pay more. So what I'm not sure about is the implementation of his plans. Andrew Yang, you guys know Andrew Yang, he wrote some op-ed piece about that. Yeah. He wrote some op-ed piece about that. He's like, listen, these ideas he's talking about of like making New York more affordable, that's a great idea.
Andrew Yang a lot.
Yeah, he was like, that's a great idea, but he goes, the implementation is going to be hard. So when you get into that stuff, okay, yes, I don't know what the results are going to be. But this thing of like, and I have a lot of Jewish friends, and I know you guys are Jewish as well, and I love you. And I would just say this idea that he's somehow going to come in to the biggest city in America under President Trump right now, who just sends in his the ICE and troops. If that were to happen, if for example, for some reason Zoran Mamdani actually has this evil plan to let cops allow people to beat Jews.
No, he has a plan to defund the police. He said it.
Okay.
And he wants to get rid of the police.
Once again,
and that
New
will
York,
be a problem.
Okay, once again, New York City. I don't know I have no idea what the budget is for the New York
Before
Police
Adams,
Department.
what's his name? That was a mayor twice. The other
Cuomo?
socialist.
No.
De Blasio.
De Blasio. The
yeah.
police turned their back on him.
Right.
Because he was such a scumbag.
Great. So
and
that's
they wouldn't even look at him. They didn't even want him to come to the police funerals.
So you're proving my point. He just proved my point. He's saying the cops said, we're not going to listen to you, Mayor. Don't come around. We're doing our own thing.
Well, the problem with not listening is that they're going to be prosecuted if they follow their own.
Once again, this world that we're living in right now, you guys are giving way too much power to the mayor.
So let me tell you one thing Mamdani did say.
Mamdani, yeah.
Mamdani, yeah. Just because I like you, I won't call him Mamdani. I'm going to stay away from that.
Yeah.
So he talked about who he's going to hire.
Yeah.
And he said, I want to let you know, I will hire Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
Whether they're progressive or whatever. The fact that he had to single out a type of person that he said would hire speaks volumes. If he were to say, I guarantee we're going to have blacks in there, that means that according to him, not everybody is the same. There's a group of people that he's going to pull in, and he had to single them out. This is not a good thing.
I would have to see the way he said it, but what you just told me makes me think, okay, he's been attacked so much for being anti-Semitic or whatever it is, that he felt like he had to go out of his
the
way
river to the
say,
sea. He won't say that, what that means. He won't say the Intifada. You know,
listen again. Listen, you guys. I think that that you guys are. I hear what you're saying. I would say the odds of him. First of all, he doesn't seem like the person that would like. He's not radical in that way. Where I mean, it'd be a different thing if he were like, Farrakhan would say things. You'd be like, okay, this guy's intense, right? This guy might actually mean some of the stuff he's saying. Like, to me, the problem with labeling somebody anti-Semitic that's this guy is that it takes away the true people who are wanting to do violence against Jews or saying anti-Semitic stuff like, it's the Jews that are this, the Jews that are that. I think that, unfortunately, when you like, I've
so many people asked him to disavow certain things he said.
I have been attacked for being anti-Semitic, and I'll tell you why. I did a thing where when Netanyahu was at the United Nations and they got up and walked out on him, I saw the clip. I told you these clips come up on my Instagram, and I don't like Netanyahu, so I posted it on my stories. Half the Persian Jews that I know were like, "How dare you? You're anti-Semitic. We never thought. Oh my God, you are pro-terrorist." And I was like, "No, I don't like Netanyahu. I didn't say anything about Jews. I didn't say anything about Israel. I just said I don't like Netanyahu." If you were to say to me, hey, whatever, I don't like Obama, I wouldn't be like, oh, you're unpatriotic. That's the problem. I feel is that we've gone that far. Like, there's no.
You know why I didn't vote for Obama?
Why?
Because of Reverend Wright, Jeremiah Wright.
Right.
That was his mentor 20 years.
Yeah.
In his memoir, he dedicates the book to Reverend Wright, and Reverend Wright hates America. He said we were the cause of the 9/11. The chickens have come home to roost. Right. And I couldn't vote for him because.
Mark, I'll take this. So again, I don't know. I haven't studied Reverend Wright to see what he was saying. I do know. I remember that clip was going around about that. I think that
was before AI.
Right, before AI, exactly. I think one of the problems with Americans is that we feel that criticizing America means you hate America. As an immigrant, I'm going to argue the opposite. I think criticizing America means I love America, meaning I want America to be that idealistic place that it is, but I can't ignore its history because I'm coming from a country where America did have a hand in destabilizing my country. I'm coming from a region where America did have a hand in destabilizing the region. And so if I come to America and I say, hey, America has done a lot of bad things, for somebody to go, now, you're unpatriotic because of that, then we're not looking at the full story. That's why this whole thing with like, and again, Florida, I hate to keep singling out Florida, but the fact that they didn't want to teach about slavery because they said that's going to make white kids feel bad. I go, well, that's part of our history. We should know that. And so,
there's a lot of that nonsense with everything. They don't want to make these kids feel bad, and they're going to end up being, snowflakes, and everything's going to hurt them.
Exactly.
And they won't be able to stay married.
Yeah. And so
wait till they get married, and they hear what their wife has to say.
Yeah. So the same thing goes with like the Reverend Wright. That clip you're talking about, where he was saying like, what did he say? The United States. He was criticizing the United States of America, and I think that from seeing that clip, he was saying that we had done a lot of bad stuff, which we should recognize. We have done a lot of bad stuff. Now, off of that, listen, that's fine. You can vote for whoever you want. I'll vote for whoever I want. I mean, that's fine. Of course. That's the whole point. But
you're a person that wants... You like it here.
Yeah,
you
I love it
build
here.
the country.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that they come here and they don't like the country. You see these demonstrations like people waving Iranian flags.
Yeah.
They've left the country. They don't want to live there because of what's going on. Then they come here and they wave. What does waving that flag mean?
Well, the Iranian flag, the people that are waving the Iranian flag tend to be people that are waving the flag of the Shah's regime because they're actually
But not at some of these rallies that they're waving the Hamas flag and Iranian flags.
Well, okay, so maybe there's people that I don't know support this current Iranian regime. I don't know. I would say once again, I don't know people's like deep motivation, but I would say that a lot of immigrants that come to America come because they had a bad situation in their country.
True.
They come to America and they want to work hard. They want to succeed. They want America to be what their country wasn't. Like when you flee a dictatorship, you come here and like, oh my God, I can be free. What happens sometimes is those same people come here and they say the freedoms and go, oh, there's too much freedom. I don't want this much freedom. I don't want the LGBTQ flag flying. And you go, dude, you wanted freedom. This is freedom. And then you have people, like you said, maybe they're waving a flag of another country. And again, I don't know what their motivations are, and I would have to look at like these. Unfortunately, what's happened with the protests, with the Palestinian protests, and this war we've had going for the past few years, it's really like escalated this animosity to a point where there's a lot of people who, as soon as you see that other flag, you're like, you're this and you're and you're going at each other. Meanwhile, I've seen a lot of people from Jewish backgrounds, from Palestinian backgrounds, who have come together and said, no, any life lost is bad, and therefore we want. Like there was a whole thing. This was years before October 7th, but there was a whole thing where parents of Palestinians and parents of Jews in Israel who'd lost kids, they'd started an organization. And the fact is, like, I've lost 2 siblings, so I know that losing somebody, it's like we hear the numbers. We go, oh, 100 killed, 1,000 killed, 10,000 killed.
Doesn't mean anything.
That does not mean anything. Take that number and exponentially multiply it. That's how many lives were affected by that. One person killed affects a whole family, a whole community,
right?
And so
and generations that won't exist.
Yeah, and so to me, it's just heartbreaking that we don't have more people like taking a breath and going, okay, wait a minute, let's sit down. I don't care if you're Jewish. I don't care if you're Muslim. I don't care if you're Baha'i. I don't care if you're Zoroastrian. Let's sit down. Let's have a conversation. And ultimately, I would think that around the world, this is from my travels now, most people around the world want the same thing. They want to be able to like feed their family, maybe get some entertainment in there, whatever. Just
cheat on their wife, not
cheat on their wife.
Well, that's a big deal.
There you go.
A lot of people,
most of the world.
A lot of people want that.
Most of the world. Even lesbians. They want that.
Everybody.
Yeah.
You lost 2 family members.
Yeah.
What happened?
I lost my brother in 2014. He'd had addiction issues and the sort, and we lost him in that way. And then my sister I lost in 2017 to breast cancer. And they were both too young. He was 37. She was 47.
Sorry.
And thank you. I always say, it's like they say, it doesn't get easier. It's just that like life goes on, and so you're not thinking about it as much. But there are times where you're like, oh my God, like currently, it was my brother's birthday, November 2nd, so I always post about him. And then my sister's birthday was October 15th. I always post about her. And I'm just remind people like, hey, first of all, I want to remind people of their names. There's that whole thing of like you die twice, once when you die, and the second time when your name is last said. So I try to keep their names going.
Tell us.
And I Miriam Jobrani, that's my sister, and Kashi Jobrani, that's my brother. And so, yeah, I'm definitely an empathetic person. Like that's one of the reasons I'm so pro-immigrant. Like it breaks my heart to see these, like some landscaper getting tackled in the middle of the streets. I'm like, this is a guy who's trying to live his life and do good for his family. And my family, it's funny to me, there's Persians and there's other immigrants who've come here and they turn their backs on other immigrants and they go, well, we came here legally. I go, first of all, if you came here legally, then congratulations, you had the means to somehow go through the appropriate process to get your whatever documentation you needed to come here. Secondly, most likely you came here as a student and overstayed your visa. I bet you there was a few days you were illegal. I bet you that happened. Thirdly, maybe you came and asked for political asylum, which is what a lot of these people are doing. And so I feel like I'm a staunch supporter of immigrants coming to America. I sympathize with them. And same thing when I hear about loss of life. I don't care if it's in Israel or it's in Palestine or it's in Rwanda. I don't care where it is. I always remind myself that's not one person. That's a lot of people got affected. And it's a lifelong thing. You don't just throw it away one day and go, okay, I forgot about them. It's a lifelong trauma.
So I agree that there's a lot of good people here that probably somehow should be worked out that they should stay. What about all the bad people they caught? How do you? So what do you do here?
So this goes back to what I was saying earlier about the unfortunate.
Because there's been a lot of them that they've caught and they've deported.
Yeah, I'll answer. Yeah, so this goes back to what I was saying earlier about the way that our districting and the redlining, whatever it is, not redlining, the gerrymandering, all that stuff's happened to get us. People that are far right and far left representing us in Congress. The problem is Congress has not been able to come up with a new law to work what you just said, to work in this way to help people who want to do good gain their legal status, because they have continuously punted and continuously use it as a political football. Oh, Democrats are too easy on the immigrants. Oh, you guys are too hard on the immigrants. Well, let's come up with a system. I remember listening to the radio and this guy goes, there should be a thing where if you don't want people to cross over illegally, come up with a multi-visit visa for people to come work. I guarantee you, people come from Mexico, the guy would love to come work for a little bit, go home, be with his family, come back and work.
El Paso, they come across every day and go back.
Yeah, that would be that. So
I was at the border a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so we need more of that. And now, when you go to the criminals, listen, that's what. See, again, this is where we go to the rhetoric, and if you remember, Trump in the 2024 election was saying in the campaign, he was saying. The numbers kept growing. It's like there's 10 million violent criminals. Then the next time he goes, there's 20 million, maybe 30 million.
Sure.
So he kept throwing those numbers out.
Sure.
Statistically speaking, if you look at the statistics per capita, immigrants commit fewer crimes than citizens. That's just a fact. And so, yes, go get, if you actually have people in your prisons or you have people in gangs and you want to get rid of them and the guys here illegally, go for it, right? But the problem is they started with that. And then they ran out. And then they got Stephen Miller going to Department of Homeland Security, chastising them, going, why aren't you guys arresting more people? You need to start going to Home Depots. You need to start going to the farms. You need to start going to the restaurants. And you need to start deporting 3,000 people a day. So that's the problem. You put a quota. If you put a quota on anything, you're going to run into problems.
To your point, though, like the rhetoric being so toxic is, I think, also why myself, Mark, and a lot of Jewish people are so anti Mamdani,
yeah.
For mayor, because his rhetoric has been very, like, whatever race you are, you're very sensitive to, Like, you know when someone's being racist towards you.
Right.
You know? So, like, Jewish people, it's hard for us sometimes to communicate that to people. But, like, we know.
Yeah.
Like, we know when someone's, you know, being anti-Semitic to us. We know. We're not crazy. Like, so we know when we watch this, like, oh, this is some anti-Semitic stuff he's putting out there. This is some bad rhetoric. He does not like us. We know that.
Listen, I'm not going to, like, obviously I'm going to listen to you when you say that. I can't invalidate your feelings by saying, no, you know, absolutely. If that's what you read, then that's what you read. And I appreciate that. And going back to the rhetoric, I was saying it's not just the rhetoric against immigrants. What I'm talking about, there's an actual policy.
Right.
Stephen Miller said,
but it
deport
starts with
3,000 people a day.
The rhetoric, and then it goes to policy, right?
Yeah, but we gotta. But what I would go back to what Mark said earlier about the police force turning their backs on Bill de Blasio. I honestly feel that we live in an era and in a place in America right now where even if you had a rogue mayor who really were anti-Semitic and were to say, "Hey, cops, ignore any violence against Jews." I feel that we live in a world right now. I mean, they've threatened to deport Mamdani, and he hasn't even become mayor yet. So Trump had said, "Oh, we got to look into his papers. We might deport him." We have a world in which, if something like that were to happen, he's been sending the military into places. He can send ICE into. I mean, so what I'm trying to say to you is the difference between Mamdani and Stephen Miller is that Stephen Miller is actually in the position of power, where currently we've seen the power that Donald Trump has is probably maybe the most power a president has ever had in America, because he continues to pass executive orders. He continues to ignore court decisions against him. And so they're in a position of power of that level. Mamdani, yes, you would think I used to think the mayor of a city, especially New York, has a lot of power. But under this current administration, I don't think that they have as much power as you guys might think that he does. That's why I'm not worried about my Jewish brothers and sisters enduring anything that's going to be like different from what's happened.
1,200 rabbis that signed a letter who disagree with you.
But listen, again, great.
I mean,
that validates. Of course, I'm not going to invalidate their thoughts and what they're saying. I'm just saying, objectively speaking, when I sit back and I look at this situation, I feel like I don't think he's going to be the terror that everybody says. And only time will tell, because he's going to win. That's the fact. He's going to win, and time will tell. In 6 months, we'll see. And if, let's say, hypothetically speaking, in 6 months, he is doing something that is detrimental to the Jewish community. Let's say in 6 months, he's telling the chief of police, hey, we're going to stop investigating any kind of violence against Jews. I would guarantee under this administration, the Department of Justice would be
never going to say those words. But yeah, I hear you.
And also, by the way, Mark, you got to realize that, again, another difference between Mamdani and what we have in the White House is Mamdani, whatever he does, it's not like he is still he would still be the mayor of New York City. And like most other 99.9% of other leadership, they have people working under them that some support them or some are like will disagree with them. This current administration that we have are all loyalists. Like there's like the fact that he can go to Pam Bondi and say, go get James Comey. And she goes, yes, sir.
Well, time will tell if those people are guilty too.
Right, but my point is that if even under Bill Barr had said things like, no. Even Bill Barr was a big supporter of his, but he had said things like, no, we can't do that. Even under Secretary of Defense Esper, when he had said, let's shoot some of these protesters in the legs, he goes, we can't do that. Now you've got Kash Patel, you got Pam Bondi, you got Pete Hegseth, and all these people are loyalists. So the difference between Donald Trump's administration and Mamdani's administration is that Mamdani may have some people that love him and support him, but there's also going to be people in that administration that if Mamdani were to turn around and say, hey, don't worry about
a lot of people in the Trump administration leaked a lot of stuff. They didn't like him. The previous administration. Yeah, I'm talking about any administration. Mark, up until now,
most presidents have had people that liked them and didn't like them.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
Currently, we have one of the most loyalist administrations. We've also found now, like, again, I mean, the head of the Federal Communications Commission. Everywhere you look, they're loyalists. I'm trying to differentiate Trump with Mamdani. Just this power that he has.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt the president is the most powerful person in the world. There's a big difference between that and the mayor.
And he's got all loyalists versus I don't believe that the mayor, for this mayor of New York City to have an administration that were all to turn their backs on Jews.
So one of the first things
1 in a billion.
Mamdani said was if Netanyahu comes to New York, he's going to arrest him. What does that have to do with the mayor of New York?
Okay,
what does New York have to do with that?
Okay, so
his job is to take care of New York. So he calls Israel genocidal.
Okay, listen. So the thing with Netanyahu, and I don't like Netanyahu either. So, but for him to say he's going to arrest him, first of all, I don't think he has a jurisdiction to arrest Netanyahu.
Just the fact that he said it.
Yeah, but the fact is the Netanyahu, Putin, some of these other leaders have been condemned by many countries.
Yeah, but
America has not. And so Netanyahu come to America, like if Netanyahu, I forget something was happening where they were like, Netanyahu's not going to such and such country because whatever it is, they could arrest him, right? They could arrest him.
It was the international court,
whatever it was, right? So they were saying he can come to America, and so Mamdani doesn't have the power to, be like, oh, the American foreign policy is we accept him.
He may not have the power, but he ran on that idea.
I don't know. Again, maybe that was because he was trying to appeal to a certain demographic to say,
absolutely,
I don't like this guy.
Yeah.
Right. And it's, again, only time will tell. Mm-hmm. So once this thing airs, maybe 6 months from now, or 8 months from now, we sit together again and we see what happens. And maybe,
by the way,
maybe you guys will be like hiding from.
We'll be wearing Zoran hats.
Yeah, you'll be hiding from violent jihadists, and I'll be hiding from ICE, and we'll just do this in a bunker, the three of us.
Well, we have the bunker. That's the good thing.
So one of the things I most appreciate about your stand-up is your stance. I don't work politically at all on stage. Yeah. Zero. Yeah. I had 2 ice jokes.
Yeah.
And that was as political as I got in my entire career.
Yeah.
And so you have a way of being able to do this without seeming like you're really taking sides.
Right.
And because when I listen to it, I don't agree with some of the things, but I'm laughing. I think it's funny, and I don't dislike.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. And because I try to, I think, first of all, I think the number one thing is, we all know in comedy, you got to have a punchline. Because I've heard comedians go up and become didactic. And you're going, oh man, this guy's losing the audience because he's preaching now.
Yeah.
And there's no punchline.
Right.
I remember, listen, you agree, you don't agree, right? But if it's funny, you're going to appreciate it. So I saw Bill Burr do a joke one time where he was making fun of Michelle Obama, whom I like, and he was making fun of the fact that she was on a book tour, and like sold out book tour, and then he says something along the lines of like, she's on this sold out book tour because she basically got with the right guy, like she because of the guy she's with,
right.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, oh God, is that sexist? Is that bad? And then he turns it quickly. He's like, now some of the women that are upset here, let's just flip it. Let's say she were the president and he's on a book tour, you guys would be going like that, right. Bum. But the way he did it was, like I said, it had a punchline, and I think that I try as much as I can to make sure that there's a punchline at the end. I try to do it with a smile.
Your smile is so contagious.
I appreciate you, man.
Because I'm completely deadpan up there.
Yeah.
The complete opposite of you.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, and I don't know if you are, but you look like you're really enjoying yourself.
I am.
Having a good time.
Yeah.
And I wish I could be as happy on stage as you are.
I appreciate you, man. I'll tell you, it's funny. I've always just been, I don't know if it's because of the being, part of this revolution and leaving Iran when I did, or just Iranians in general, or studying political science in college or what. But I've always been intrigued by politics, and obviously there's a lot of comedy that comes from
it. Didn't you
right?
study politics?
Yeah, political science. Yeah. So like, I love watching Colbert's monologue because I get the news, and it's funny, or Jon Stewart or whatever it is. I enjoy getting news in that fashion.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, so it's interesting. So I was always of the mind of, in America we can make fun of our leaders, whether it's Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter. And then during the Iraq War, I don't know if you guys remember this, but they had sold this line that said, if you criticize the war, you're criticizing the troops. And I remember I was doing some joke at the Comedy Store about George Bush, and some lady in the audience was like, you can't make fun of our commander-in-chief during a time of war. And I was like, that's the whole point of America. We can make fun. I go, we're saying we want to bring democracy to Iraq, but you want me to take it away here? And I came up with this one joke about like how, the point of America is you can make fun of the president. I go, if I make fun of the president of Iran in Iran, you'd be like, when's your next joke? Where's your next show? But there are no more shows. The Ministry of No Show showed up, and my next show would be in prison, whatever.
Sure.
But then those couple of confrontations.
Quick question before you continue that thought.
Yeah.
Is there stand-up comedy in Iran?
There actually is.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, there's a lot of like, I think listen, stand-up comedy is an American art form. The idea of
Larry Charles went there and interviewed some Iranian comedians.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he had a show on Netflix or something, and they went all over the world to interview comedians.
Oh, I want to see it.
In countries that you can't really do that.
Yeah.
And there's a woman in Iran that...
Great. Iran has always had a culture of joke telling. But more recently, I think that there's become this world of actual stand-ups. And the stand-up comedy is more about like, my wife did this and my kid did that. Like, they don't get political. They can't get political. But what I was getting at was, and to your point of smiling on stage, when Trump 1 happened, I was on stage at the Improv here on Melrose and making some Trump jokes. And some guy in the audience was like, yelled something like, he's great or whatever. And I go, really? And then we go back and forth. And then I started arguing with him. And I remember looking down at the front row, and these people were looking at me like, what happened to the show? Like, and I realized I got derailed.
Yeah.
So I said to myself from then on, I go, you know what? I can't get in an argument on stage. And I remember watching Dave Attell at the Comedy Store. Because, we all know in comedy, there's like different types of comedians. Some comedians will attack the audience, Some comedians will, whatever, I don't know, just go, ballistic. But I saw Attell do this thing, and I thought it was great. Like, he was in the original, it was packed. He was doing a joke. Someone in the back yelled something. The audience was like, shut up. And then he goes, no, let's hear what he has to say. Sir, what were you saying? And the guy said it, and it was so stupid. It created a huge laugh, and he buried himself.
Yeah.
And I go, that's another technique. And so I said, the next time somebody gets upset at one of my Trump jokes, I'm going to Tai Chi it. Just going to let it just come. And so I was I was at the Irvine Improv. I'm doing this show, and Irvine obviously has there's a lot of Persians, but there's also a lot of conservative people.
Yeah.
And this is where, like, again, to me, like what you just said before, you don't have to agree with my joke, but if there's a joke and I'm not being like, I'm not up there being harsh about it. I'm just trying. Like, one of the jokes was like, he tweets so much. Can somebody stop him from tweeting so much?
Right.
I mean, that's not offensive. That's just the fact. So I'm doing this show at the Improv, and it's like, it's like a 400-seat room, and I see in the back, as I'm doing these jokes, I see some guy pacing back and forth, and I'm like, what is going on with that? Now nobody else sees him because they're all looking at me, and back and forth, and I'm like, what's going on with that guy? Continue to tell the jokes, but my mind is like clocking the guy, and I go, he looks upset. I wonder if it's like he's complaining about something in the room, or I go, but I'm doing the Trump, maybe it's the Trump stuff. And then he goes and he stands at by the exit, he starts yelling like, I love Trump, and he starts yelling at me. And all I did, Tai Chi it. I go, and people are like, boo. I go, no, don't boo. What a beautiful country. You have your opinions, I have my opinions. That's fine. Just message me later. And he got angry and angry. And I just like let it go. And it worked so well that became the technique I would use. And I did it again at Flappers. And that one actually is, if you go online and put in drunk Trump heckler, it comes up. I did an hour of a show. It was going great. And then this drunk lady starts going, I, as a woman, I'm offended. And then she goes, I am here legally. I go, I'm here legally. It's just like, but it became Tai Chi-ing it, because I think, to your point, I don't want to be up there getting angry, and I'm not going to change somebody's mind.
Absolutely not.
When people do Tai Chi, do they just let the other person hit them? Because you said I'm just going to let it...
No, it's not about hit. When you see Tai Chi, it's like you take the energy and you let it flow. Like, let that person's energy just go on its own.
Okay.
So I
is
just
Tai
let
Chi
you.
a fighting form?
I
Or is
don't.
it just a relaxing thing?
I've just seen people relax. I've never seen
Tai Chi
anybody
is-
fight with Tai Chi.
It's actually something that can keep you alive longer. There's, it's sort of movements that works the whole body.
Is it from Thailand? Is that what it's
No,
called, Tai Chi?
it's from the Orient.
Wherever it's from, I've seen people like when you see people doing it. There's a lot of like you see
Slow
them
movement.
slow movement, but like it's almost like they take this thing and it's almost like a wave is coming and they let the wave come and go
Do
through.
you do it?
No, I don't. I just use that term in my my technique of dealing with hecklers.
Quick, hard-hitting questions.
Yes.
Favorite Persian stew?
Oh my God. I'm gonna go with fesenjun or gorme sabzi. Those are the two.
Those are the hits.
yeah,
Okay, fine. So give me a third one because those are like
Qeymeh is really good. It's
Which
like
one is
meat.
that?
It's got meat, and then if you get it with sometimes people will get like crispy, like almost mini fries, and they throw it on there. Oof,
oh, that sounds good.
delicious.
And your wife is Indian.
Indian, yeah.
Does she appreciate the Persian stews more than the curries, or is there a little bit of tension there?
No, she, her mom will bring the curries, the Indian curries when she comes over, but she likes Persian food. We love it all. Persian food. The other thing we do, we burn the bottom of the rice.
Sure, of course.
Tahdig, and that is other level.
Hadik is great.
Other level.
My son is marrying a Persian girl.
Well, there you go, my friend.
Family from Northern California. Nice people. We had the thing with the jewelry.
Yeah.
What's that?
They had a little wedding engagement party, and everybody brings jewelry and gives it to the.
That's a good custom if you want to get.
I've never heard of that. I think you got scammed.
Yeah.
No,
You've heard of it. You've heard of it.
yeah.
Give us something important from the family.
Yeah, we have a custom where everybody brings a check for at least $50,000.
Yeah, you bring cash, unmarked bills. You give
when-
it to me, I
when
give
I
you
t-
a hug.
When I tell people my son's marrying a Persian girl, there's like two responses.
Yeah.
One is very positive.
Yeah.
And the other is, oh no. Like, it's a closed group.
Yeah,
In many ways.
Yeah.
And they've got to take us in for.
Listen, it's my own family. Like my mom back in the day was like,
Are your folks still with us?
my father's passed away. My mom back in the day would say things like, "You need to marry an Iranian woman because they get the culture, they get to speak the language, all that." And I was like, "Listen, I grew up here. Like I don't know who I'm going to marry." And so we're living in this world now where the odds are you're going to marry someone outside your culture, and I think it's a beautiful thing. Like
Indian people definitely better desserts, by the way.
Indian people have great desserts. Persian ice cream is pretty darn delicious. You've been to the
argue with
Saffron
that.
and Rose over there on Westwood?
Yeah.
I would, right on the corner there.
Akbar Mashti
Mashti
is another one.
Malone,
Mashti
yeah.
Malone.
Oh, that's a good one.
Some good stuff.
You guys have a good ice cream game.
Saffron
That's
and
strong,
Rose.
Strong ice cream
the saffron ice cream with the pistachios.
Gulab jamun,
dates.
though. Come
Oh
on.
yeah.
Hot
Yeah. No, our food is pretty darn good.
rasmalai. Have you had rasmalai?
I don't know ras malai.
Rasmalai is a very good Indian cheese dessert. It's
Oh, there
a
you
cold
Does
cheese
your wife
with
cook?
pistachio.
She cooks not really Indian food. She'll do like she'll make stuff like she'll get the sauce like pre-made from I don't know Erewhon or something. But yeah, she cooks a lot. I've just started cooking a little bit. I have this friend of mine, and he is this Persian guy out of Atlanta. Great guy. And years ago, doing my show, he gave me this little container with some like spice in it. And he goes, "Put this on the like when you're cooking meat, just put a little bit on there." And his name is Moji. And I took it home, and my wife used it, and my wife goes, "That is delicious." So he's made this combination of like whatever it is, different spices, delicious. And so ever since then, every time I go to Atlanta, my wife goes, "Get some more Moji spice."
Oh, wow.
And so recently I was like trying my hand at it, and I cooked the chicken and I put some onions in it, a little Moji spice, and the kids came down. This is where I know I did good. The kids came down, they're like, "This is delicious." And I was like, I need to get Moji to bottle this and be his spokesperson. This is, I think, a multi-million-dollar business we're sitting on. It
Or
is
at least
so
a $1
good.
million business.
At least a $1 million. So we can.
People always go multi. Nobody ever says it's a $1 million business.
That's all I want. I'm out. I'm out.
Let me ask you. A lot of Persians own these rug stores.
Yeah.
You never see anybody in them.
I don't know, Mark.
How does this work?
I don't
Yeah, I've
know.
often
And
wondered
who
about
has
that too.
who has rooms the size of some of those rugs?
I don't know. I will tell you this. This is an interesting story.
I'm asking seriously.
No, I know. There's an interesting story. A friend of mine who's now a successful venture capitalist. When he first came from Iran, he barely spoke English, and he said how he was in Northern California, and he saw this ad for a rug store that was looking for salespeople. So he goes, I called the place and I go, I'd like to come work for you. And they go, have you ever sold anything? No. Have you ever sold cars? No. Anything? No. Sorry, it's not going to work out. He goes, I go, wait. Just give me a shot. They give him a shot. He goes, he hustles, starts selling rugs, starts doing well. And then he goes, at one point, this is Northern California, this is around Palo Alto. And this family that owned this rug company was like a well-off family. He goes, the way you sell rugs is you sell the rug the first time. Then you call that guy up and you go, hey, Danny, you bought this rug from us 6 months ago. Part of the service is we clean your rug. So if you like, we'll take it, we'll clean it. Sure, come clean it. He goes, when we go to clean it, we leave a more expensive, nicer rug in its place. We go, here's a rug you can use for a while. We'll be back. We come back. Of course, this guy's living in a mansion. He's like, I'd like to keep this rug too. So he buys that rug. And he goes, we kept doing this all over Palo Alto, Northern California. And he goes, I would go into these beautiful homes that were just, amazing, immaculate. And he goes, I would ask them, I'm sorry, what line of work are you in? And they would say, I'm a venture capitalist. So this guy goes back to the owners of the rug store. He goes, guys, we're in the wrong business. We need to be venture capitalists. And so he convinces those guys to put some money in. And long story short, the guy who had been a rug salesman is now worth, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars as he's like funding Dropbox and this and that. So I don't know how rug stores make money, but I know if you can pivot into venture capitalism, you can make some good money.
I went to a rug store when I first came to LA and got a rug. It was remarkable because the guy, also Persian guy, was selling me not on the rug, but on the concept of a rug.
Yes.
Because he was like, when you walk on the floor, very hard. Look, you go into the rug, so nice.
Yeah.
And then on the floor, not so nice. And then on the rug, so soft.
Yeah.
It was like very funny. Like, it's like, I know what a rug is.
Well, there's also stories. They tell you, like, a lot of the rugs are telling stories.
Sure,
like,
that's right.
When I was in Morocco, they were selling me rugs, and they were saying the same thing. They go, the lady leaves the village, and she would weave a rug, and they would send it back to the village, and within that weave was a story of what's going on in her life. I'm like, oh my God.
And it says, please help me.
I saw that in Turkey when I was in Turkey.
Yeah.
I went Ephesus, I think it was. We went to, and we went to a rug place. They weave these stories.
Yeah.
In and
the other thing that somebody told me, and I don't know how true this is. They were saying in Persian rugs, it's all symmetrical except for one like piece, like one string, and the reason is that in the culture only God is perfect, so you need to have one imperfection in there.
It's like a Jewish thing also when we leave a little thing undone in the house to remind us.
You build a house, a little broken ceiling piece or something that. I think Michelangelo also did something with David that he made a little mistake purposely as to not them because there's no human being that is perfect.
No human being. And
they never met me, of course. But,
I tell my wife that every time I underwhelm in bed. I go, hey, only God is perfect.
I used to do some sort of joke about that. I said, show business, sex, always leaving one more is not really a great thing in the sex department.
Finishing early is not.
Yeah, it's not.
My wife gave me the light. Oh!
Is it controversial to say the Turkish rug is a much better rug than an Iranian rug?
Gosh, I don't get into the rug wars, man.
I don't want to get rug burned over here.
Sounds like a show on the Discovery Channel, the Rug Wars.
Rug Wars. Maybe the weakest rug is the Moroccan rug.
Yeah, these guys sold me on it, and I bought it. The Berber rugs, yeah.
That is the weak. They've got a weak rug game. Anyway,
I just don't know much about rugs, but that's the problem. Is like rugs, paintings. You got to count on the expert, the salesperson, who's trying to sell you. But that's the dilemma because they're selling it to you, and they're also the expert. So
Persian people have a special way their homes look too from the outside.
Yeah.
Like when you walk by a certain house,
Well, the Persian columns, that's why at Beverly Hills, I think they banned the Persian columns because enough Iranians came and took these like Beverly Hills homes and started putting Persepolis in front of the house.
All right. Well, I think we're there. Maz, it's great having you here.
Thanks for having Maz.
Maz. Stop
We
with the Maz.
started and we ended the show with the same mistake.
Mazatlan.
All right, start the show over again.
Does it actually bother you when people miss?
It doesn't bother me as much as like I debate. I go, should I correct them or not? So there's times where
It's
I just let it
Americanized.
be.
To say Maz is very more like American than Maz.
Yeah.
But do they change?
Well, no. So depending on the situation I'm in, like there's been times where again I'm doing a radio show and the guy's going 100 miles an hour. I'm like, I forget, who cares? But then if it's in a conversation with like friends that I'll be running into again, I go Maz, like Lamaz, Mazatlan, whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
Have you?
I had another one, Mazatlan. I forget what the other one is. Lamaz.
Have you experienced Islamophobia?
I have been, gosh, okay. So one of the things when I first came to America and the hostage crisis happened, we would get picked on in school. I was in the 4th grade. There were 6th graders would pick on you.
What would they say?
You call you an effing Iranian. Some of my other like Iranian friends might have gotten like hit, and I've talked to other Iranians who say like they were getting beaten up. There was a lot of threats against Iranians, and by the way, other people from the Middle East, because Americans, unfortunately, racists aren't very nuanced in their racism. We know that from September 11th when they were shooting Indian Sikhs. So I did get that at that point. I have had people like nowadays with social media, people say like, if you don't like this country, go back to your country, go back to Iran or whatever. So I've had things like that.
You can't.
I can't go to Iran.
Do you
either.
answer those people?
No, I don't really answer them. I learned early on not to get into arguments on. I mean, once in a while, if it's somebody who's like got a big following, I might say, "What the hell? What are you doing? What are you talking about?" But for the most part, I just let people scream into the wind.
Would you say it's brave that you speak out against the regime in Iran?
I mean, a little bit's easy for me because I'm so far away.
But,
there were times
they came after like Salman Rushdie and stuff
Listen,
like that.
there were times. Yeah, there were times. It's actually funny during that whole Massa Amini protest thing. I was very vocal at that point. Everybody in the community was very vocal, and I was doing a show I was touring in Europe, and
Jet engine. I don't know.
Yeah. I was touring in Europe. And my aunt will message me from time. I don't know how. I think her friends that are conservative get upset about some of the things I say, so they tell her because they see it on my Instagram.
Where does she live?
She lives in London, in England.
Okay.
So at the time, I'd been saying some stuff about the regime, and it wasn't the friends that were conservative, but it was more that my aunt was like, "Oh my God, why are you getting into politics?" So she got on the phone. She left me a voice on my WhatsApp. Don't talk about them. They're going to come after you. Blah, blah, blah. And I was saying, and I used to do a joke about this. I used to joke about like, they've always told us they're coming after us. I'm like, who is coming after us? Like, who are these people?
Right.
I said, by the way, if the Islamic regimes come after me, they have bigger problems. Cause like, I'm sure there's like 99,000 people on their list. I might be like number 100,000.
Right.
And I said, if they send someone to get me, it'll be an intern.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, she was saying that. She was like, they're going to come after you. And I was on a tour in Europe. I was in Germany. And I'm sleeping one morning, and like 7 a.m, the maid opens my door and starts coming in because I guess I didn't put the do not disturb.
Right.
And it was in my head that they're going to come. So I jumped out of bed like I thought they're coming after me.
She would be a low-level intern.
Yeah, she could be and that was scary. I was like, oh my God. And I almost had a heart attack. And I was like, please, I told my aunt, stop telling me they're coming after me. Now you're in my head.
So your aunt lives in London.
Yeah.
So you've heard people say, I'm sure, London is finished. England is finished because of Islam. They're going to take over.
Yeah, I've heard all that
be
too.
Sharia law. You've heard that?
Once
France
again,
is like that?
Yeah, once again, I don't. I mean, when I go to London, it doesn't look like it's finished. When I go to France, it doesn't look like. I mean, it feels fine, and it looks like it is a majority Christian country where that cannot happen. That's not to say there might not be some different pockets where it's like a lot more of a let's say a Muslim community, like when they were talking about Dearborn, like during the elections, they were like, there's places in Dearborn you can't go. I've been to Dearborn. It's not that there's a lot of falafel places. There's a lot of shawarma stands. It's not that like it's not like you're gonna be beheaded walking through, whether it's you or me or anybody. I don't buy into it.
What's her name? Is the one of the in Dearborn?
Okay. Not
Omar.
No, you're talking about
Talib.
Yeah, Talib. Yeah,
So
Rashida Talib.
Her area actually she has the Jewish area in
Right.
her area.
Right.
And the Jews that live in Detroit, and I've been there, tell me they love living there.
Yeah.
They love living there. They don't have any problem. They haven't had.
That's the point. That's my whole point is I feel like until you go and see firsthand, obviously if there's like riots going on somewhere, you're not going to go. But if you go to a place like Dearborn, or you go to a place like, like when you just said London's, people were saying people were telling me San Francisco's finished. That's the other thing. A lot of people say that now. San Francisco's finished. Yeah. Last time I was in San Francisco, I haven't seen it so beautiful in a long time. And I asked one of the Uber drivers, I go, what's going on? It feels like this place is coming back. He goes, yeah, we got this new mayor. He's heir of the Levi family, the Levi's jeans.
The jeans.
Yeah, and he's been doing a good job of cleaning up the city. And of course, they still have, drug problems. It's never going to be perfect. But it's much better than like what somebody on the outside might lead you to believe. Like I honestly thought it was beautiful. So that's when people say London's finished or Paris is finished. I was just there last year. Cities both looked like they were doing great. I don't know.
Did you do the Riyadh Comedy Festival?
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
I've been going to Saudi Arabia since 2008 to do shows. And I will tell you, I have seen the progress that's been made. Now that's not to I'm not excusing any of their, political stuff that they've done. But what I will say is that when I first started doing stand-up comedy in 2008, stand-up comedy was illegal in Saudi Arabia. So it was like a rave. The promoter would sell tickets, last minute tell people where to go. You'd go do the show. A few years later, some prince started a promotions company, and he started doing public shows. But again, now that they're doing public shows, you'd do the show, and the audiences were divided. On the left-hand side, you had all men, and then on the right-hand side, you had husbands, wives, and children. So you do like a penis joke, the guys would laugh, the family would stare at you. You do a wife joke, the family would laugh, the guys would stare at you. And ever since then, now they just did this comedy festival, and what I thought was good about it was, first of all, the people in Saudi Arabia that were coming, it's not just like all local Saudis. There's people from all over the world. And secondly, audiences were mixed, guys, girls. Some girls covered, some girls not covered. Topics that you could talk about. They said don't talk about. From the moment I started going to the Middle East, I said no sex, no religion, no politics. We've come a long way now, where this Riyadh Comedy Festival, they had Jessica Kurz on. She's a Jewish female who is gay, and from what I understood, she was doing her act in Riyadh. Which, again, I'm not saying that the actions of the government are all good, right. But what I am saying is that if we sit here from the outside and we say, you guys need to be more open-minded and more liberal and more this, then we need to participate in that. And people said, well, you're whitewashing their crimes and all this other stuff. And I said, look, actually, I read this great op-ed piece that the guy made a great point of it. He goes, if anything, these types of festivals or these types of events bring more attention to the things that the government has done and makes it so that you can shine more light on that. But beyond that, it's helping move these communities hopefully forward in some way. I know for a fact, from when I first started doing stand-up in the Middle East, they used to say no sex, no religion, no politics, and I would clean up my act for them, to the point where a couple years ago I was like, you know what, I'm going to try and do the show the way I do it in America. I'm going to do it in the Middle East. So a couple years ago, I did this joke that was making fun of homophobia, and it was a pro-LGBTQ joke, and I did that in Kuwait. And I could feel some of the people in the audience being uncomfortable. And then I made fun of them for being uncomfortable. And then afterwards, I have a Kuwaiti friend who's gay, and I asked him, I said, was that too much? And he goes, no, that's good that you're doing that. He goes, we need you to push that envelope.
Yeah.
So I feel it's an opportunity.
I agree.
You've been in Doha, you've done stand-up, Dubai.
I've done all of them. I've done Doha, Dubai and Abu Dhabi, which are both UAE. I've done Riyadh, Jeddah, a couple other cities in Saudi Arabia. I've done Oman. I've done Beirut in Lebanon.
Which are the best audiences in the Middle East?
You know, the thing again this is why I said it's good to go to Dearborn. It's good to go to London. When somebody tells you it's falling apart, go see with your own eyes what they're talking about. Is it just, cameras in one part and, go see. So when you go to a place like I did Abu Dhabi, for example, and the audience was great. They were young. They were mixed. We did an arena. I did one time with Mo Amer, another time with Bassem Youssef. 6,000 people. Rock and roll. I mean, it felt like rock and roll. It was great. And they were laughing at all the jokes. And it was big screens. And it was super produced. And it was just, the audience was amazing. That was Abu Dhabi. I think, comedy can be international. It really can. Because if you do jokes about your wife here, or you do jokes about your wife over there, or you do jokes about...
Yeah.
They totally relate.
Yeah.
Totally relate.
If the Ayatollah messaged you on Instagram or whatever, on X, I think he's on X, and he said, Maz, I know you don't like my regime, but I love your comedy. Will you come out and do a show for me?
I'm not going to fall for that one, my friend. It's funny you say that because there's been people who don't know that I've spoken against the regime, and they've said to me things online like, "Hey, why don't you do a show in Iran?" And I'm like, "I've said a few things," and then they're like, "No, you'd be fine," and I'm like, and I'm like, "Why don't you go and you see how it goes?" Because I wouldn't trust them. I wouldn't trust them at all. I would love to do a show in Iran for the people. I would love to do that. And the other thing is these other countries speak English well enough. I don't know if there's enough English speakers in Iran to do a show in Iran.
Did you ever see Hogan's Heroes?
Yeah, I mean, I know it. I didn't watch it all, but yeah.
About funny Nazis.
Yeah.
In a prisoner of war camp.
Yeah.
You think there'll ever be a show, Funny Hamas?
Funny Hamas.
No.
There was a movie years ago. Obviously, look, that's the beauty of art, is that artists come up with these things, and if they execute it well, it's a really good thing. There was a movie about, it was actually a British movie. I think it's called Four Lions or something. It was about these four guys who join a terrorist organization, and they're just bumbling idiots. And the way it played out was it was funny. It was poignant. Another one is a great movie I saw was it was a movie called Paradise Now. This was a movie that actually I think might have been an Oscar nominee for foreign film. It was a Palestinian film about this guy who is just this living his life, and he's got a romantic relationship, but then he's got this other guy who's part of either Hamas or some militant group, and the guy in the militant group is trying to recruit this guy to go do an act of terror, and this guy's in love with this woman, and they did a great job of just showing this guy struggle, and it wasn't anything that can show me oh, there's more going on than just we're used to your Chuck Norris movies I will I'm going to kill you because you have offended my it's give me something. So who knows maybe somebody will do something. I mean, there was that show, there continues to be the show Tehran, which is out of Israel, which is the spy thriller, and again, it's made well, so you make it well and people will watch.
Cool. Mark, you want to wrap us up for today here?
Why not? Lessons on Comedy, Courage, and Chutzpah, my memoir. You have one too. I am not a terrorist.
My book's called I'm Not a Terrorist, but I've played one on TV.
Oh, cool. And how long was that process of making that book? Did it take you a long time? And
book was tough. Book was, it's just, how it is. It's you just gotta, every time I was traveling the world, and I would just go sit in a coffee shop and write a chapter and then send it to the guy who was helping me a little bit, and then we go back and forth, and then finally we ended up with a complete book.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Mine took 4 years.
Yeah, mine took, I think took at least a couple years, I think.
I've got comic books out. I've got comic books
That's
about
great.
my life. They're at fairenoughcomic.com. And I've got a movie you can rent or buy on Amazon Video Prime called Reconquistador, which is about me doing stand-up in Spain.
Que bueno.
And do you have something you coming up?
I have so much. I got a movie called Jimmy Westwood, American Hero, which is a comedy I did years ago. I've got a bunch of specials. I got a Netflix special called Immigrant. I've got a YouTube special called The Birds and the Bees. And I'm touring all the time, so people can just go at Maz Jobrani or
when
go to
I
my
saw
website.
you were working on a new special.
Yeah,
that's at the Comedy Magical.
Comedy Magical. Yeah, that's something that I want to probably tape and put out again, on YouTube or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
Appreciate
here.
you.
By the way, Got to get your wife to cook that Indian food.
I know. We'll make it happen.
We think it's funny, and I hope you guys did as well. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. We're on Instagram. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.